Hello.
Hey, Kobie. Just kind of diving into things, senior nights this Saturday while you haven't had 4 years at Wake Forest. What does going through that mean for you just being here for the last year?
Yeah, it means a lot. And so far this week, and I'm sure it's going to continue throughout the week, is just a lot of, thinking back on how I even got here. Just that whole process and what a blessing it has been for me to be able to be a part of this great team. And I know that we haven't achieved all the goals that we've wanted to, but just to be a part of a group with this work ethic, with this passion for the game of football, a group that I've learned so much from, players and coaches. So it definitely means a lot. And then to a lot of these seniors too, who, like I know what it's like to play your last game at a school that you spent 4 or 5 years at. I had my senior night last year at Richmond, and it was a very surreal moment. Just seeing the program that really you built come to fruition, and seeing the next set of guys who are going to continue to elevate that jersey once they're gone, and looking at how you've been able to be a leader to them, and what they're going to do with the coming years. So it means a lot to be able to play for these seniors alongside myself too. But it's definitely a big Saturday this week.
Kobie, what's the mood and focus been like in practice the last couple of days? And how confident are you that you guys are going to get back up off the mat like you talked about after the game Saturday?
Yeah. So our mood has been focused. Obviously, with everything that's happened at UVA, our mood's been down. That could have been any team, that could have been us. And it's such a tragedy. And I feel for the guys at UVA, for the team. I've been a part of a team who's lost a teammate, but in my situation, at least he decided it for himself. But here, three lives were taken, and they didn't, that wasn't their plan. That's not something that they wanted. And either way, it has a huge impact on on the UVA community. So my thoughts and prayers are out to that UVA community, and to the family of those who have been affected, those who died, and it's just senseless. So rightfully so, it's been down, and Coach Clausen has came in and he addressed that this morning, and I think Wendell has done a great job of providing spaces where we can have talks about those things, and that's very, very important. But to the football aspect of it, I think people are starting to realize the urgency of the season, of as far as we only have two left. And not to say that we didn't realize that before, but there's only two more left in the regular season, and there's certainly a level of focus, of attention that's being present in practice today and on Sunday's walkthrough. You don't have a whole lot of time left, and if the UVA incident showed us anything, we don't know how much time we have left in general. Nothing's guaranteed, so definitely a sense of urgency for us.
Kobie, does what happened at UVA potentially hit home for someone like you and a big number of guys on the Wake Forest team that come from Virginia? Does it kind of maybe, like I said, hit home a little bit more?
It definitely does, and I think there's a few guys who know some of the people who are affected. But for that to happen in our state, but really, I think the thing that's hitting home for guys is one that's something that happened within a football team. Not really within, but I mean, the guy was a former walk-on too, and so it's just like that that hits home a lot for me, to just think in a place where you're supposed to establish a safe space, a place where it's supposed to be a brotherhood, and um, for one reason or another you got off the team, and to come back and do something like that, like you just you're never ready for something like that to happen. Nothing can prepare you for those moments, and it definitely hit, it hit closer to home for a lot of us here. I think really for all of us. So
Apologize for the very awkward transition here, Kobie, but what are you seeing in terms of the film on Syracuse and how you guys look to defend them? It seemed like they struggled last week.
Mhm.
Are they maybe, a different team than what they were earlier in the season?
Yeah, so I actually think the opposite. I think in many ways they're just like us. Started out hot, they went 6-0, and their first loss came at the hands of Clemson. Same to us. Our first loss wasn't after 6 wins, but and from then, with injuries and things starts to go downhill a little bit. But it's a team with the back against their wall, with their back against the wall. And when you play teams like those are dangerous. That they're going to come out swinging. They have no other choice. You can't lay down, if your back's against the wall. And so it's a really talented team. They have a lot of really good skill guys, a lot of experienced skill guys, but even on their front, their offensive line is very experienced. One of the more physical groups we'll probably see all year. And they're really good at what they do. When they decide to play and when they decide to bring it. And this is an instance where one, both of us were doing really, really good at the beginning of the season. So in some way, like I'm sure they had circled, our game on the calendar for, coming up. And in many ways too, I was looking forward, just watching their trajectory at the beginning of the year. I was like, wow, this is going to be a really good matchup. And then things kind of have gone, the way that they've gone, and that's football, that's life. But this is a really good team coming here on Saturday to try to, turn over our senior night on a night where we're celebrating a lot of guys and a night where we really want to put on a show. They're not going to come in here and lay down. So in every sense of the word, we have to earn that win. And we have to start fast. That's been our emphasis this week. And I'm sure Coach Clausen will probably touch on that later too, but that's our emphasis. We haven't started fast enough. And so everything we're doing is to start fast. And if we spot these guys 14 points, like we've done a lot of our opponents that we've lost to, then they're going to take that and run with it. They have a really experienced group, really talented group. So it should be a really good matchup coming in here on Saturday.
Kobie, one of the questions I kind of got, this weekend and today even was, what does Wake Forest really have to play for? I mean, I had my own answer going into that, but I'm kind of curious of what the vibe is around the locker room of, what do you guys have left to play for?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think actually Coach Lambo hit the nail on the head this morning in meetings. So many times we get caught up in, playing for this, playing for an Orange Bowl, playing for a championship, playing for all of these things. And when teams go awry, when things start to go downhill, and when you start to lose buy-in, it's because teams lose their purpose, teams lose their why. But at the end of the day, everything that we do is to elevate the jersey for those who've come before us, for those who are going to come, behind us. And for us in this present moment, it's all about elevating the jersey. And so regardless of what's happened last week, regardless of what's going to happen next week, regardless of what's going to happen in the postseason or where we've been, every week we have an opportunity to go 1-0. Every week we have an opportunity to go out on that field and elevate that jersey. And that is the why, that's the most important thing. And so in many ways, and obviously nobody wants the season to have gone the way that it has. But in many ways, our why is now refined. There's not the distraction of, oh, we're playing for this, oh, we're playing for that. No, it's just we're playing to elevate the jersey. We're playing to leave, this place better than we found it. For those who are coming behind us and to build off of those who've come before us. So at the end of the day, that's our why, that's our purpose. And, hopefully we show that on Saturday with how hard we play.
What do you think is going to be your legacy with you, Rondell, Tyler, Dion, all you guys that are, leaving up this year? What do you think your guys' impact is going to be on guys like Justin Williams, on Kevin Pointer, on Bernard Gooden, as their careers start to progress as you move on?
Mhm. Yeah. I've had 1 year of being able to kind of mentor those guys, and not in a one-sided way of mentorship either. Like they've learned from me, I've learned a lot from them. Even JD, like he is that's my competition every day. I look at JD and he's a guy who flies to the ball, and that's who I strive to be. And wherever I go, I strive to be the person who works the hardest, who plays the hardest. And every day, every week, I look on and I look to my right, and it's like JD's right there with me, if not above me. So that's certainly a legacy that I think I've been able to leave in a sense. But for all of us, just the leadership, and as far as, showing up to work every day. It doesn't matter what happens around us. And the reality is, life doesn't stop for anybody. And, you still have to show up to work. That same guy, you still have to present that same product. You still have to bring energy, bring the juice, bring the focus, and be willing to do everything necessary to have winning habits. And I think that some of those habits will certainly carry on with the guys, and just attention to detail, learning when to joke around, learning when to lock in, when to be focused, just maturity and things like that. I think all of those will have lasting impacts, but definitely the thing that I hope to leave the most is, who's going to play the hardest. If anybody else is out there on the field and they're not playing as hard as, or if they're playing harder than us, then that's a problem. And so to fight to be the hardest playing team, and all of the other stuff will fix it up. But playing hard isn't something that can really be coached. It has to be something that's within you. And I think that's definitely a legacy that a lot of us guys are leaving.
Kobie, you mentioned starting fast. What does that look like for the defense?
Yeah, so what that looks like for the defense is getting off the field on third down, and especially early. We struggled with that versus, UNC. We just didn't win on third down early, whether that be because of missed assignments or whatnot. We didn't get it done. And so that's what it looks like. When we have success on a first and second down early, we have to have a point where we stop that drive. And that's what it looks like for us, and give our offense an opportunity to then again start fast and get that ball rolling, score a touchdown, and now we're up 7-0. So that's really what it looks like, getting a stop early.
Emotionally, you've had a couple of games where you played rivals with NC State, Carolina. This week it's senior day. What do you expect that emotional level to be like with the team heading into the last game at home?
Yeah, I expect us to be very, very excited. And after that Louisville game, we kind of learned what happens when you don't come out with an edge, and when you don't come out with a fire, with a chip on your shoulder. And so that's certainly been an emphasis, a point of emphasis for the past 2 weeks. But also, like you said, playing rivals, that doesn't have to be too much of an emphasis. You already kind of have that chip on your shoulder, but being able to play a team that's very similar to us, coming out hot, being a very good team and very highly regarded in the early parts of the season, and a very experienced team as well. I think that'll also help us to come out with an edge, come out with a chip. And then again, it's our last game in front of the home fans for many of us seniors. And we have a lot of people who are moving on, and I think that'll certainly give another, sense of fire, another chip on our shoulder, to come out fast and to play with some energy.
That's good. All right. Thanks, Kobie.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Kobie.
Thanks, Kobie.
Thanks, Kobie.